Welcome to my channel. I'd always trusted my wife. We'd been together for nearly a decade, and though we had our ups and downs, I believed our relationship was solid. But over the past few months, something had changed. She became distant, spending more time on her phone and staying out late without clear explanations. At first, I told myself not to overthink it, but then I noticed how protective she was of her phone, always keeping it locked or face down. One night, when she went to bed early, her phone lit up on the counter. The message read, "I miss you. Can't wait for tomorrow night." It wasn't from anyone I recognized. The name on the screen simply said Jay. My stomach dropped. I didn't confront her right away. I needed proof. The next day, I paid closer attention to her routine. She told me she had dinner plans with her friend Amanda. What she didn't realize was that Amanda had recently moved out of state. That's when I decided to follow her. That evening, she left the house dressed more carefully than usual. She wore jeans and a simple top, but had put in extra effort. Styled hair, perfume, and lipstick. It was a look she didn't wear for me anymore. I waited a few minutes before following her in my car. She drove across town to a small restaurant. From a distance, I saw her meet a man outside. They hugged, and he kissed her on the cheek before they walked inside together. My heart felt like it was being crushed. I wanted to burst in and confront them right then and there, but I held back. I needed to plan this right. Over the next few days, I started piecing things together. I checked our shared bank account and noticed charges at places I'd never been, restaurants, hotels, even a flower shop. She was leading a double life. Then, I caught my break. I overheard her on the phone while she was in another room. She said, "I can't wait to see you Tuesday night." Same place. Tuesday came. She left around 7 p.m., telling me she had to work late. By this point, I already knew where she was headed, his apartment. But this time, I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I arrived at his place about 30 minutes before she was supposed to. I knocked on the door, and when it opened, I came face to face with Jason. "Who are you?" he asked, clearly caught off guard. "I'm her husband," I replied, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. His face turned pale. "You didn't know, did you?" He shook his head, stunned. "She told me she was separated." I couldn't tell if he was lying or genuinely clueless, but at that moment, I didn't care. "She's on her way here," I told him. "When she knocks, you let her in, but I'll be the one she sees." Jason hesitated, but eventually agreed. He seemed just as blindsided as I was, and part of me believed him. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Jason opened it, and there she was, smiling and holding a bag of takeout. But the moment she saw me standing behind him, her face fell. "Hi, honey," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked between me and Jason, realizing she was caught. I can explain," she stuttered. "Go ahead," I said, crossing my arms. "Explain how you've been sneaking around behind my back. Explain why you're here when you told me you were working late." Her excuses came tumbling out, each one more ridiculous than the last. She even tried to blame me for not being attentive enough, for not understanding her needs. Jason, who had been silent up until now, finally spoke up. "You told me you were separated. Is that another lie?" She turned to him, pleading, but he stepped back, shaking his head. "You lied to me too," he said, his voice laced with disgust. "I'm done. I don't want any part of this." Her face crumpled as Jason walked out of the room, leaving us alone. I looked at her and said, "Well, there goes plan B. I hope it was worth it." I left without waiting for her response. That night, I packed a bag and stayed at a friend's house. As I later found out, Jason stuck to his word. He ended things with her completely, blocking her on everything. She tried reaching out to him, just as she tried begging me for forgiveness, but it was too late. In the end, she lost both of us because of her lies. I moved forward with the divorce and haven't looked back since. It was painful, but the relief of leaving the toxicity behind was worth every difficult moment. Thanks for watching my video. Please support me, and thank you so much, dear viewers.